Picture this. You've literally just witnessed a traffic accident. And if I were to immediately come up to you and ask, hey, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? How would you respond? Well, it seems like a super straightforward question, right? But it actually contains a hidden glitch, one that kind of forces us to completely rethink how the human mind works. Because, we tend to think of our memory as this perfect, high-def video recording of the world. But the crazy truth is, it's really, really not.
To show you what I mean, let's look at a super famous experiment by psychologist Elizabeth Loftus. People were shown a video of a car crash, and by changing literally one single word in the follow-up question, just swapping the word hit for smashed, she completely overwrote the participants' memories. I mean, no way, right? But those who heard the word smashed didn't just guess a higher speed. Days later, they actually remembered seeing phantom broken glass all over the ground, even though there was absolutely zero broken glass in the original video.
So, to figure out why that phantom glass appeared, we're diving into demystifying the mind, the science of memory. We really need to stop thinking of the brain as some dusty, passive file cabinet. Instead, in this explainer, we're going to look at it as this complex, glowing biological reactor where data is constantly being constructed and, well, reconstructed. Which brings us to Section 1, the illusion of memory. Let's just officially shatter the myth right now that our brains capture perfect, objective recordings of reality.
Here's the absolute crucial point. Memories are active energy streams. They aren't reproductive, they're reconstructive. When you remember something, you're actually combining physical memory traces from the past with your current beliefs, your context, and even your emotions in that exact moment. You are actively building a narrative. That means your past is literally being reauthored by your present.
So how is all this organized? Let's check out Section 2, Brain System Structure, and explore the different skill trees of human memory.
Based on studies of amnesia patients, scientists actually mapped out these branches into what's known as Squire's taxonomy of long-term memory. The whole system splits into two massive trees. You've got declarative or explicit memory and non-declarative or implicit memory. And get this, they operate totally independently and rely on completely different regions of the brain.
Think of it like a video game. Explicit memory is the lore and the world maps, right? It requires conscious effort to recall, like remembering the capital of France or what you had for dinner last night. Implicit memory, on the other hand, is your automatic combat mechanics, your muscle memory, stuff like riding a bike or swinging a sword. Your brain just executes these protocols automatically and unconsciously, without you ever needing to think about the individual steps.
All right, now that we know the architecture, we enter Section 3, encoding and retrieval. These are the precise data processing protocols you need to actually lock a memory into the system.
There are three vital steps to learning and remembering anything. Step 1 is encoding. That's perceiving and selectively registering information. Step 2 is storage, maintaining that data over time through biological consolidation. And finally, Step 3 is retrieval, accessing that information when you actually need it. But here is the warning. A failure at any single one of these stages results in a massive system bug. You'll either forget the data entirely or, honestly worse, you'll misremember it.
To see exactly how these system bugs happen, just look at the DRM effect. In one experiment, people listened to a list of words. Ready? Door, glass, pane, shade, ledge. Later on, a massive 84% of participants falsely recognized the word window as being on that list. But window was literally never said. Because our brains are so creative, they automatically primed the related word window based on the surrounding associations, and then encoded that false inference as a totally real memory.
So clearly, our data is super vulnerable. Let's look at Section 4, Enemies of Memory, to examine the system bugs and crashes that scramble our network over time.
Interference is exactly how our data gets scrambled up. First, you have retroactive interference. This happens when new data overwrites the old. It's like how the last 16 lunches you've eaten make it basically impossible to retrieve the memory of what you ate 17 days ago. Then you have proactive interference, which is the exact reverse. That's when old data blocks new inputs, like when the grammar rules of your native language keep popping up and messing with your ability to learn a new foreign language.
And then there's the serial position curve, which reveals another major vulnerability. When you're presented with a stream of data, your memory highly prioritizes the very first inputs, that's the primacy effect, and the very last inputs, the recency effect. Anything caught in the midstream? Well, it's highly vulnerable to decay and honestly, usually just lost forever.
Okay, let's loop right back to our opening in Section 5, the false memory effect. We need to see exactly how external malware can permanently corrupt our internal memory drives.
Here is the hard data from that car crash experiment we started off with. As you'll see, there is a direct, measurable correlation between the severity of a single verb and the falsely remembered speed of those vehicles. When asked how fast the cars were going when they hit, people estimated about 34 miles per hour. But just changing that one word to smashed spiked the memory of the speed all the way up to 41 miles per hour. This right here is defined as the misinformation effect. It's an incredibly powerful type of retroactive interference, and it proves that eyewitness testimony, something that literally decides the fate of lives in courtrooms, can be unknowingly manipulated just by the phrasing of a post-event question. The memory drive just gets permanently corrupted.
Now, I know that's all a bit scary, right? But don't worry, we've reached Section 6, Upgrading the Memory. Let's focus on some actionable system upgrade tactics you can use to hack and optimize your own brain's storage capacity.
A normal adult's working memory can hold about 7 random digits, but take a look at this number, 240. That is the actual number of random digits a man named Simon Reinhart was able to memorize flawlessly, and he did it after looking at them for just 50 seconds. So, does he have a photographic memory? Nope, not at all. 12 years prior, he had a normal 7-digit capacity just like the rest of us. He just systematically upgraded his memory.
He pulled this off through specific power-ups that the research actually backs up. First, the method of loci, or building spatial memory palaces to peg information to familiar physical locations. Second, enhancing distinctiveness. I mean, your brain remembers a giraffe in a classroom way better than a student, right? So make your mental imagery vividly bizarre. Third is the spacing effect. Distribute your practice instead of cramming it all at once. And fourth, deep semantic processing. Focus on the actual meaning of what you're learning and form deep associations with stuff you already know.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this stark reminder from a researcher at Harvard. Memory is never just a passive file retrieval. It's a biologically expensive, highly active reconstruction process. Every single time you call up a memory, you are rebuilding it from scratch.
Which finally brings us to our last and definitely most provocative question. If every single memory is an active reconstruction, influenced by leading questions, totally prone to interference, and altered by whatever state you're in right now, how much of your own past is actually real? It is an incredibly fragile but fascinating system we carry around in our heads. Think about that the next time you reflect on your absolute favorite memories. Thanks so much for joining me as we unpack these sources today, and definitely keep exploring the amazing science of your own mind.